Salam alaikum, was cracking. It's your angry biracial back with another video. Over the past couple weeks, my family has really been going through it. And I haven't really been able to talk about it because it's still so fresh. But I'm going to talk about it as briefly and as vaguely as I can. For those who don't know, about 4 years ago, I took in a foster child. He was an African boy who was in a really racist foster family. They were teaching this African boy to hate himself. It was so bad that he went to court and told the judge and everybody else that he hates black people. The judge and DCF and everybody was so shocked and appalled that this little dark-skinned African boy told them all that he hates black people. He could only get that mindset from where he was growing up. He was like 7 years old. He had been with that white foster family for 3 years. So to make that long story short, I won. I brought him home and integrated him into my family. It wasn't very long till he started to feel some pride in who he is, till he started to hold his head up high and to be proud to be a boy of African descent. Despite what my haters may think, we don't play that shit in my house. I'm proudly biracial. My wife is proudly black and my kids are proudly mixed race. And it wasn't long till he was proud to be of African descent. I didn't know this little boy's past. I didn't know what he had been through. I asked DCF in Massachusetts, was this boy ever assaulted, essayed in any type of way? Because if he was, I wouldn't bring him into my house because I have daughters. I let them know that straight from the jump. They told me no, that he was just badly neglected by his mother. So for the first 3 years, everything was good. There were some mild behavior problems, but that's to be expected. He's integrating into a new family, a new life, a new school, a new way of doing things, to praying 5 times a day. We worked through it. My biological kids loved him. My biological son loved having a big brother. My wife was an amazing mother to him. She embraced him like she gave birth to him. And then on October 14th, my oldest daughter came to me crying. She gave me a hug. She looked terrified. I hugged her. I'm like, baby, what's wrong? She looked at me and told me that boy did things to her and my other daughter. I can't really talk about it right now. It still fucks me up every single time, so I'm not going to go into detail. My other daughter is 9 and she's autistic. But I tell you, I broke down. My kids have never seen me cry before. I cried because my heart was broken. I cried because I felt guilty because I brought him into our home. I cried because I was so angry. My very first thought was to go end him. I had to physically go sit in my car for a few moments and just calm down. I was going to war with myself. I would gladly put on that orange jumpsuit. But then the rational side of me kicked in. My daughter said this happened a couple days ago, and she was terrified to tell me because she didn't want me to go to jail. She didn't want me to unalive him. She had asked me before, she said, Daddy, what would you do if somebody hurt me? I told her that I would go to jail because I would hurt that person back so badly that I would be in jail. And because my daughter loved me so much, sorry, I'm choking up talking about this, but because my daughter loved me so much, she held in her pain and her hurt, her trauma of what he did to her, because she didn't want me to go to jail. And that made me feel even worse about it. So I was sitting there in my car contemplating everything, the pros and cons of me taking this person out. I was thinking, well, I didn't catch him in the act. So legally, if I hurt him, it's going to be on me. 2, he's a minor. So again, it's going to be on me. 3, my wife and my kids need me. My daughters need me now more than ever. So I took a deep breath, said a couple prayers to Allah. I screamed in my car. Pretty sure my neighbors thought I was fucking nuts. Then went in my garage, I have a punching bag there, and just let my punching bag have it until my knuckles were raw and bleeding. Then I composed myself. Not for me, but for my wife and my kids. I had to be strong for them. They were depending on me. I had to get this boy out of my house so my daughters and my family would be safe. After I calmed down enough, I pulled the boy into another room. I no longer saw him as my son. He was now an enemy in my home. And I asked him exactly, what did you do and why did you do this? And I recorded the entire conversation. He admitted to everything gladly. He admitted it with a smile on his face. God, the rage bubbling inside me was, he was bragging about it. He was proud of it. I was a raging bull, and this fucker was waving a red flag in front of me, taunting me, daring me to do something. I told him to go sit in the living room, and I dialed 911. Told the police everything what happened. They came over, they interviewed him, they interviewed my daughters. He admitted everything to them again, bragging and smiling about it. My daughters told the police what happened. They were crying, they were hurt, broke down in tears. They didn't arrest him. They didn't take him out of my home. As a matter of fact, they told me that if I kicked him out, that I would be charged for child abandonment and neglect. Those fucking cops had the nerve to look me in the eye and said, we know this is hard, but because he is a minor, there's not much we can do. All the while, this motherfucker is still smiling. My daughters are crying, terrified and traumatized. Man, I wanted to scream. So the cops left. My next phone call was to DCF, or CPS, the Department of Children Affairs. I called them and filed a report, thinking since I got him out of foster care, I would send him back. At least this way he's out of my house and we can pursue charges after he's out of my house. They took a report. I told them to come get him. They asked me, is he safe there? I had to tread lightly. But in my mind, I was enraged that they would even ask if he is safe. What about my daughters? What about their safety? What about them feeling safe? They didn't care about that. They want to coddle these sick fucks. I knew that if I told them he wasn't safe, that they would get him out of the house. It'll come back and bite me in the ass. They'll try to pursue something against me. And all I'm trying to do is protect my family from him. I said, yeah, he's safe. I'm not going to do shit to him. They said that they couldn't come and get him because it's a minor on a minor crime. That my home is a safe, good home. And they reiterated the same thing that the police said. If I dropped him off somewhere or kicked him out of my house, that I would be charged for abandonment and neglect. They said if I wanted to get him out of my house, I had to find a safe place for him. He wouldn't be safe with any of my family members or any of my wife's family members. They all have kids. They all love my daughters. And if I took them there, I would have to explain to them why. I wouldn't want to put my nieces and nephews at risk. So they gave me numbers to all types of shelters for temporary respite for minors. I called them, explained to them what's going on, and they refused to take him because of the sexual nature of his crime. I called every facility in my area and in surrounding states. I ran into the same issue. No place would take him. So I made a pallet for this motherfucker in my living room. I had to feed, clothe, house, and protect the piece of shit that did this to my daughters. I didn't get any sleep for about 2 fucking weeks. I had to stay up and sit on this damn boy to make sure he stayed downstairs, to make sure my daughters were safe. Every time my daughters would come in my bed and just lay there crying because they were afraid to go to sleep, afraid to close their eyes, knowing that motherfucker was still downstairs. My 9-year-old with autism would hold on to me, crying, saying, Daddy, I can't stop thinking about what he did to me, over and over and over again. But yet all the police and DCF cared about was his safety. I needed to get this boy out of my house for my daughter's safety, for my family's safety. So I got a hotel room. And I unfortunately had to stay with him in that hotel room. While I tried to figure out a place for him to go, I dug through all the old court emails, hoping to find the number to his old foster mother, and I found it. She was talking about how much she's loved him, how much she's missed him. Then when I told her what he had done, her entire mindset changed. She didn't want him either. So I started calling group homes and treatment centers all over the country, and I finally found one in my home state of Arizona. I explained to them what happened and the inaction out here in Ohio of the police and DCF. I gave them the police report and the DCF report number so they can confirm everything. And once they did, they said they would take him. I just have to fly him out there. I told my wife, and I was ready to go. We went back home. I packed all of his stuff, checked out the hotel, and that night, he ran away. He knew he was going to a treatment facility. He knew he was going to have to own up to the shit he did. And like the fucking coward he is, he ran away. Not gonna lie, I was kind of relieved. He was out of my house and it wasn't by my doing. So they couldn't come after me for neglect or abandonment. My daughter slept well that night. But I had to call 911 as soon as he ran away and report it. And I did. 13 hours later, I get a call from Whitehall Police letting me know that they caught him shoplifting at a Walmart and that he's facing shoplifting charges. I said, cool, keep him in juvenile hall until then. The cop explained to me that he can't. He's a minor, and the laws out here in Ohio are real lenient towards minors. Then I had to come pick his ass up. Again, I wanted to fucking scream. I told the officer that I can't leave my home right now because I have all my kids and it's the middle of the night. So the officer agreed to come drop him back off at my house. He came back, ate, took a shower, ran away again. Again, I had to call and report it. But this time, he came back to my house on his own with 3 drunk black men. Drunk, homeless black men. And they were on my camera talking about beating my ass and jumping me and robbing me. He was bragging to them about what he did to his sisters. I have all this on camera. They told him it's fucked up what you did to your sisters, but how much money does your dad have? Oh, your dad has a nice house. Bragging about how bad they're gonna beat me up and rob me and take my shit. At this point, I've had enough. I grabbed my pew-pew, went to my front door, unlocked it, faced those 3 grown men and that boy. Ohio is a stand-your-ground state. It's a castle doctrine state. Him and those 3 grown men came to my property to do me harm. They were discussing it on camera. I had every right then to do them in, to stand my ground. I called 911 and let them know there were 3 grown men that my foster son brought to my door threatening to do me harm, and that I'm going to stand my ground. I opened that door and they saw my big biracial ass and my pew-pew. Their faces fucking paled. Their whole attitude and demeanor changed. Like they just weren't talking about beating my ass and robbing me. They said, sir, we found your son. We saw him sleeping at a gas station. He told us what happened and we wanted to bring him back. Now they're acting like they're fucking good Samaritans. I told the boy to get in my house, he's going to that fucking facility. And told those men to get the fuck off my porch. They scattered like the fucking roaches they were. The police showed up 30 minutes later, even though I told them there were 3 drunk black men at my house, at my door, threatening to harm me and rob me. Showed them the video, and that's when the cop told me that my only option to get him out of my home is to go downtown and go to the juvenile prosecutor and file a unruly child claim. I thanked the officer, because that was the most information I've gotten during this whole ordeal on what to do. I closed the door and that boy looked at me terrified. You ain't never seen me ready to go like that. He told me he's not gonna run away no more, that those 3 men scared the shit out of him. That street life ain't for him. I didn't say nothing. I had nothing nice to say, and I had to keep in mind that he's a minor. I didn't want nothing coming back on me. So I sat in the living room and watched TV and played my Xbox all night while he slept. The very next morning after I put my kids on the bus, I told him to get in the car and we drove downtown. I filed the unruly with the clerk of courts. She read the paper and shook her head. She said, "This is beyond unruly. Give me 1 second." She was disgusted that the police didn't do anything, disgusted that DCF didn't do anything. She left the room and went to talk directly to the prosecutor. She said in order for us to do anything, we have to find him delinquent. Let me schedule you an emergency court hearing so we can at least get him out of your house while we go through the court process. That was on a Monday. The court date was on a Wednesday. He was found delinquent and ordered by the judge to be placed somewhere pending the charges. The judge, like the clerk of courts, was shocked that nothing had been done. The entire courtroom was shocked when I explained to them what was going on. They were disgusted with the smile on that boy's face. I told them my family had to live in terror of this boy. Every night that he's there, my daughters are being re-traumatized. And now he's bringing grown men to my house to try to assault and rob me and do more harm to my family. The judge ordered DCF to place him somewhere. He was found delinquent. And now he's finally being formally charged for what he did to my daughters, for shoplifting, and for bringing those 3 grown men to my house to assault and rob me. The reason why I've been so vague about this, because it's an open case, is a trial pending. But after he's convicted, I'm going to do another video with all the evidence. The video of the police coming by saying they can't do nothing and him bragging about it to the police. The video of him admitting it to me what he did, smiling about it. The video of him bringing those 3 drunk men to my house, plotting on robbing and assaulting me right in front of my camera. I got one of those Google doorbell cameras right in front of my door. Caught the whole fucking thing. The video evidence of DCF coming over, talking to my daughters, asking what happened, and them telling me they can't remove him. I got it all. And as soon as this case is over, I'm going to plaster his face all over my channel with the charges he's convicted of. And I'm going to push with everything I have. Technically, I don't have to hire an attorney because the prosecutor is on my side. But I want to make sure this boy gets convicted. This boy has to be on the registry. It just blows my mind how much they coddle these fucking predators. How they're more concerned with the predator's safety over the victim's safety. And I'm not done yet. I'm going after DCF in Massachusetts. They should have told me about this boy. They should have told me that he was a victim of SA and that he has been acting out in that manner. That he has a history of that. Because I would have never taken him into my home. Now my daughters are in treatment. They see a therapist that comes to our house. And this therapist, she is amazing. They are talking to her and we're doing family treatment and they're doing one-on-one treatment. But I can't help the guilt that's still in my heart. Y'all know me. Y'all been on my channel for a minute. I'm all about taking accountability. And facts remains, me being the leader of my home, the man of my home, I made the choice to bring that motherfucker into my family. And because I made that choice, my family ended up suffering. My daughters end up suffering and being hurt. You can't fly the plane, then blame the passengers for crashing that fucking plane. If you're the captain of the ship, you go down with the ship. So I blame myself, and that guilt has been fucking me up. My wife, my family members, the therapist, all telling me that it's not my fault, that there's no way that I could have known. But the buck stops with me. I brought that demon into my home, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. That because of my actions, my children were hurt. That because of my actions, I put my family at risk. And I can never forgive myself for that.